Mark was the first gospel writer to tell the story of Jesus in the gospel format that we have now. Mark did this about the year 70, about the time immediately in the wake of the fall of the temple in Jerusalem. The Romans had marched down the Jordan River Valley, they had encircled the city, they had besieged it, and finally overran the walls, destroyed the temple, burned many of its timbers. We are in a burned out forest now to represent the world in which Mark found himself. It was a world in which the most potent symbol of Judaism had been destroyed. It was a world in which social chaos and violence was reigning. It was a world in which Mark's congregation was confused about what would happen next. And in this world, Mark shapes the story of Jesus in such a way as to suggest that the destruction of the temple is a sign that the realm of God is coming. And at the very beginning of his ministry, the Markan Jesus says, "Behold, the realm of God is at hand." And there is in the Gospel of Mark, from start to finish, a sense of urgency that impels people to prepare, to be ready for the apocalyptic return of Jesus and the complete, final, and full manifestation of the realm of God. Jesus chooses 12 apostles to follow him on the journey and to become a core of teachers, miracle workers, and witnesses to the coming of the realm of God. In fact, in Mark 3, he describes what the apostles are to be and do. Number one, they are to be with him. Number two, they are to proclaim the coming of the realm. Number three, they are to cast out demons and work miracles that both demonstrate the presence of the realm and that embody the quality of life that one will find in the realm. That first quality, to be with him, in Mark's mindset means to follow Jesus, to learn to think as he thinks, to learn to act as he acts, to teach as he teaches, and to witness as he witnesses. This is the Markan understanding of stewardship, that the disciple mediates the presence and power of the realm. Mark makes it very clear that Jesus invests the disciples with the same realm-shaping power that is at work in him, and their calling is to mediate and manifest this power through their own preaching, their own teaching, their own miracles, their own lives of service and witness. Some years ago, my colleague Clark Williamson pointed me to Mark chapter 6, where there are two banquets, reverse images of one another, which encapsulate the Markan understanding of discipleship and its opposite. In the first banquet, we are in the court of Herod, celebrating his birthday, calling upon Herodias to dance. He asks her, "What would you like to have?" And she says, "The head of John the Baptist on a platter." John, a prophet, a pre-prophet, or I should say a prophet of the pre-realm, had earlier chastised Herod for immoral behavior and said that Herod would be called to account before God. Herod imprisoned John, and now, at the whim of a dancer, Herod has John beheaded. Herod has power. Herod uses that power for death and destruction. In the very next story, we are in the wilderness with Jesus, with a crowd of 5,000, Now, it wasn't a burned out wilderness like the one I am in right now, but this burned out forest is a kind of symbol of the world in which Mark found himself, in which so many familiar things had vanished, even been destroyed, and people were at such a loss as to where to turn. Herod ruled this world, but now Jesus is in the wilderness with a crowd of 5,000, and he has been teaching, and as the day draws down and the sun is beginning to set, the people are hungry. They want food. They need food. They need something to sustain them in the wilderness. And the disciples come to Jesus and they say, "What can we do here? Should we send them to the 7-Eleven down the road where they can buy some supplies?" And Jesus looks at the disciples, and remembering what he empowered them to do, he says to the disciples, "You give them something to eat." The disciples have the power to enact the realm, but they do not act on it. So Jesus takes 2 loaves, a few fish, and out of this banquet comes enough food to feed 5,000 people and to have more left over. Even in the wilderness, the realm has the power to provide beyond imagination. There is one last text in the Gospel of Mark to which I call your attention. It is Mark chapter 10. A character whom we often refer to as the rich young ruler comes to Jesus. But in Mark, he is only a rich person. He is young and a ruler elsewhere. And he has on his mind this question. I wonder if it might be a question on your mind too. What must I do to inherit eternal life? Now, this is not just a question about, will I go to heaven? This is the question, will I be a part of the wondrous new realm when it comes? And Jesus acknowledges that this rich person is devout, who keeps the commandments. But then Jesus says, one thing you lack. Sell what you have and give to the poor. Meaning, the superabundance of the realm that my disciples have witnessed in the wilderness and so many other places will provide for you if you will commit yourself to it. And by committing yourself to it, you make your resources available to those who have no resources, confident that between now and the second coming, God can provide for you. But one of the most poignant lines in the Gospels and the letters is that he went away sad because he had many possessions. This was a case in which he did not own his possessions, but his possessions owned him, and they were a barrier between him and the realm. The disciples wanted to know, what next? Jesus said it would be easier for a camel, big, to go through the eye of a needle than for a wealthy person to be a part of the realm of God. But then, Jesus says, with God, all things are possible. Even someone whose attitude toward wealth is that my wealth can buy me security, can find the real, true and lasting security that comes from being a part of a community that is awaiting the final and full manifestation of the realm of God. And then as that chapter draws to a close, Jesus promises to Peter and to the disciples that in this age you will have conflict between yourselves and the rulers of the old age. But in the new age, the realm of God, you will have family and lands and animals and houses beyond imagination. This is the choice disciples had and have. Do you follow the world of Herod, or do you join Jesus in the wilderness where the banquet overflows?